Muammar Gaddafi has sent representatives around the world to hold talks. Libya's Deputy Defense Minister is in Cairo, where it's believed he'll meet Egypt's military council and the Arab League. Meanwhile, the question of whether to impose a no-fly zone is at the top of the agenda for the international community. France's President Nicolas Sarkozy is due to meet envoys of Libya's rebel National Council in Paris in the coming hours. NATO's defense ministers will talk Libya in their regular meeting in Brussels later on Thursday. The alliance said on Wednesday it was not planning on any military intervention, but would be ready to respond if needed. Also in Belgium, the European Union's Foreign Affairs representative will hold a working lunch to discuss the Libya uprising. Let's go now to Tanya Page, who is in Brussels. Tanya, we know that not all the NATO nations are on board as far as any kind of military intervention is concerned, including a no-fly zone. So, heading into this meeting today in Brussels, what are the positions there?
Well, the positions are quite varied, and it's fair to say that nobody wants to push ahead with anything unless there is broad support, not only within NATO but also from the Arab countries in the region. We've seen the UK and France pushing quite strongly for a UN resolution, and they've been quite clear that they wouldn't peg any potential no-fly zone to a timeline or by setting any sort of deadline. They would peg that no-fly zone potentially to be triggered by events unfolding on the ground. So they would want to see, or it would have to be triggered by some sort of escalation in violence of Gaddafi inflicting upon his people there. We've seen, of course, some US caution, and that really stems from the United States looking towards the UN, wanting to lead this, because the US doesn't want to be seen, as a Western country moving in and meddling in another country. And also, we've seen a Gaddafi over the last few days come out and say that, a no-fly zone, this is the West coming in to try and steal our oil reserves and oil wealth. So any potential military action, they are wary, may play into Gaddafi's hands in terms of solidifying support base that he already has. So still, a lot of uncertainty heading into this meeting, and it's highly unlikely that we'll see any definitive decisions over a no-fly zone at the end of it. But we may see a more united front at NATO, and we have, on the other hand, Turkey describing this as an absurd idea, something that's totally impractical, and that Turkey at least would not want to see happen.
All right, thanks, Tanya. Tanya Page there reporting from Brussels. Now, it's not only the men fighting in the country, the women too are doing their part, providing support for those on the front line. From Benghazi, where the uprising began, Hada Abdelhamid reports.
While the fighting rages at the front line, women have mobilized in the city in support of their husbands, sons and brothers. Left behind alone in Benghazi, they have become the vital support troops needed in any war. Every day, almost 3,000 sandwiches and hot meals get sent to the front, a token of love to those who are risking their lives and their contribution to the struggle.
This is our job now. We do it. Why not? We are from Libya, from Benghazi. The revolution is started from Benghazi. So why you don't come up and wake up now?
These days are filled with worry. The mood here keeps shifting, following the ebbs and flows of the fighting on the front line.
A lot of people got killed. I think my friends once told me, it's like, I think we have to stop now. I was like, no, we have to have hope. We have to continue doing that. I mean, why they're supposed to be, why they stop? If we stop, we're going to get killed anyway, both ways. Either he's here or he's not.
This conversation is difficult to handle for Layla. Her 21-year-old son is at the front line.
I pray for him, for all of them, not for my son only, for all the people they are in the plague and Raslanu, everywhere.
And suddenly, some much-awaited news on the fighting. Benjawat has been liberated. An explosion of joy fills the school. Layla calls her son immediately. He is safe. But the celebrations were slightly too premature.
Please, people, please do more than just watch.
The latest information suggests that Ben Jawad is still contested. Forces loyal to Muammar Gaddafi's regime continue their assault on the rebels. And the women of Benghazi will continue being the much-needed support troops. Khalid Abdel Hamid, AlJazeera, Benghazi.
Too little, too late. The opposition in Yemen is rejecting political reforms offered by the president after 32 years in power and after weeks of sometimes deadly protests against his rule. Ali Abdullah Saleh announced plans for what he calls a parliamentary system. He's also proposing to form a new constitution that would devolve power to parliament, but he's rejecting opposition demands to step down now. He says he won't go for another 2 years. Our correspondent Hashim Ahalbara is on the line now from Sana'a with the latest. And Hashim, what are the significance of these proposals that he's announced?
This looks like the ultimate concessions that President Ali Abdullah Saleh can offer. It started about 3 weeks ago when he said, well, I understand this urge for changing the Arab world, therefore I'm not going to run for another term in 2013 and I'm ready to announce an interim government. The opposition and the anti-government movement said, no, that's not enough. We would like very genuine, strong guarantees that you are genuine about change. Then he came today and he said, listen, if your concern is about sweeping presidential executive powers, I announce thereby today that from now onwards we will change the political system where people go to the polls, decide a parliamentary majority which will elect a president. This is a dramatic departure from the old system. Number two, he is devolving decision-making governance from the capital into quasi-autonomous entities in Yemen. Like, for example, in Sana'a, we will see the Houthis having a bigger say in running their own affairs, and the secessionists in the southern parts of Yemen. However, in a first reaction to the reform package offered by President Ali Abdullah Saleh, the opposition said this is a publicity stunt and that this is too late. We could have accepted this had President Ali Abdullah Saleh announced the reform 6 months ago. It's too late. Thousands now are taken to the streets in the city of Taiz, here in the capital Sana'a, saying that we reject the offer by President Ali Abdullah Saleh. The only thing that we can accept now is listening to him telling us on television that he is stepping aside.
So, from what you are telling us, Hashim, it would appear then that even though the demonstrations continue, it's highly unlikely that this would put the brakes on new demonstrations. What are members of Saleh's own party saying about this?
They seem to be very divided about the offer. Some of them were really surprised, to the point where one of the senior members, where President Abdullah Saleh, as soon as he finished his statement, he went to the podium and he was mentioning the fact that we need a very strong president. And when I spoke with one of the advisors of President Ali Abdullah Saleh about, is this a divided ruling party? And he said, no, forget about the guy. He seemed to have been reading from the old draft. They know that there is a huge, incredible demand for